Welcome to episode 2 of the Alice Chen podcast. We are sitting here with Alice Chen, and today's message is going to be for those people who are interested in possibly getting into real estate. So you're thinking about getting into real estate, right? She's going to answer any questions you have, and we're going to just dive into, let's start with your story.
Yes.
Let's start with your story. I think that's the best way to start. For Alice Chen, what was your first 3 days like in the real estate industry?
It was terrible.
What?
Yeah, it was
Come on.
The worst ever. So I was very innocent and naive, and I got my license, and I hung it at Coldwell Banker, which was my first brokerage at the time that I signed up with, on a Friday. So the Friday of Memorial Day weekend, okay? And I thought, this is so exciting. It's going to be so much fun. I love showing homes. Everybody's going to call me this weekend, and I'm going to sell like 5 homes, okay? So Monday, Memorial Day rolled around, and it ended, okay? And guess how many people called me, Bill?
I'm going to say 5
No.
in 5 deals, right?
No.
Okay.
No, 0.
0.
A big goose egg.
Okay.
Yes. Nobody called me. 1, because I looked like I was 12. Remember that. And 2, because nobody knew that I was doing real estate and I had 0 experience. So why would anybody want to work with me? Right?
Yeah.
So I came to the big fat realization on Tuesday morning, and I thought, well, I didn't make any money this weekend. I have a license, but it's pretty much a license to learn is what I figured out very quickly, okay? It doesn't guarantee me any money at all. So then I thought, well, how am I going to actually make money at this thing? And then that's how I kind of set myself off on the right course after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Tuesday, you probably got 5 calls, right?
No.
Okay. So what happened? Like, how did you, I mean, you got through the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do next?
Well, I realized that I couldn't be what they call like a secret agent, right? Like, and I couldn't expect people to come. I couldn't try the wait and see approach. I couldn't afford that, you know?
Right.
So then I thought, okay, well, what do I have to do? What is critical? And I thought, well, I have to go then where the business is at, meaning I have to seek out people who have already raised their hand. People, either buyers who I can meet at an open house, for example, or on floor. They still had floor time.
Oh yeah,
I
floor
know
time.
that dates
I remember
me.
those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or I could, sit more floor time for more buyers, or I could be really aggressive. And there were no online services for phone numbers for sale by owners at the time. So I would have to drive around, collect numbers, and then pound the phones, which is what I ultimately decided to do because I had nothing to lose and I had all the time in the world. So that's what I ended up doing.
What year was this again? So 20 years, right?
2005.
2005. Yeah. The perfect time to get in real estate.
I know, right? So exciting.
Just before the crash.
Yep.
So, tell me about that. Like, when was your first deal? Tell me about your first deal.
Yes. So my first 2 deals were actually both sellers. They were for sale by owners. And one of my very first deals, she's actually my neighbor.
Really?
Not right next door, but in the same neighborhood. Yeah, she's still my neighbor. Been my neighbor for about 14 years.
Wow.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so she was a for sale by owner, and then the second one was also for sale by owner. And luckily, not luck. I mean, I worked really hard for it. I called a bunch of for sale by owners, stayed in touch with them, and these 2 clients decided to list with me. To my own surprise.
Yeah.
And so I ended up taking the listings, I want to say it was either in June or July. So not much longer after I started. Again, still brand spanking new. Mm-hmm. And they both closed around the same time. They both closed in November. So it was a good 6 months.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. At that time it was different than now. So
it was very different. Yeah.
Completely different. So it was harder to sell a listing than today's market. Right?
It was, yeah. It was much more a buyer's market, I feel, than a seller's market.
Yeah. So you were going after buyers more back then,
or no?
Obviously,
I was trying to avoid buyers a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, because I came to the conclusion that buyers were more time and labor intensive, and I quickly realized that listings wouldn't take up as much time, and so that I could take on more listings than I could take on buyers, like time wise.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and obviously, they when they want to see a house, they want to see a house.
Exactly. Yeah.
At the
you have
best
to fit
times.
it in. You have to exactly. Yeah. You got to drop everything.
Right,
Yep.
right. How were the negotiations when you first got in the business? Like,
Yeah, so those two deals, one of them wasn't bad at all, actually, because I don't have any recollection of it, so it must not have been too painful. The other one was only difficult because the attorney on the other side, I don't even actually remember who it was, but he was related. He was like the son of the buyer. Because again,
wow.
I represented the seller, right?
Right.
And so that really made it more difficult
Yeah.
because there were emotions involved, and like he wanted to make it seem like he had her back and really advocated for her, which I get. But it was almost too extreme to that point. So it made the negotiations a little bit adversarial.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Oh. Okay. So let's just say that we're talking to somebody or somebody's listening to this who has an idea of being a real estate agent. Mm-hmm. What's the first thing you would tell them?
I would say don't do it. No.
Don't do it. Stay.
Don't do it. Yeah. Stay wherever you are.
Yeah.
I would say they should ask themselves a short list of questions first to make sure that this business truly is realistically for them. Mm-hmm. So the first question I would ask them is, where are they in their stage or phase of life? So do they have the flexibility, or do they have, if they have children, do they have childcare? Do they have backup? Do they have a backup for the backup, right?
Wow.
Because this schedule doesn't allow for you, if you want to make money and if you want to be successful, the schedule doesn't allow for you to say, well, I really can't do it here. Oh, I really can't do that. Or there's only so many times where you say, I really can't do it, before then the client is going to find somebody else who can. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just the brutal truth.
Yeah.
So you have to have, backup for backup for backup, and like a plan B, C, and D, right? Okay. The second thing is, do you have, this is another question they should ask themselves, do I have the ability to hold on for a minimum of 3 to 6 months without being compensated at all?
Ooh. Wow.
Yes.
So you just don't get paid every day?
You just don't get paid. No. Wow. I mean, like, what would happen if you didn't get paid, right?
Yeah.
Could you sustain yourself for that long?
Yeah.
Do you have the savings? Do you have, again, the backup, the plan, right? And if the answer is no, then I don't know if the timing is quite right, because there can be a very long runway in this business, okay? So those are the two, I think, most important points. And then the third point would be, to kind of, again, self-reflect. Are you a person that is naturally driven, right? Or do you need to have somebody else, like an external factor or environment, force, or person, to say, hey, do this, Alice. Hey, do this, Bill, Or are you self-driven, right?
Yeah.
Do you have the tenacity, right? Mm-hmm. So there's drive and then there's tenacity. It's two slightly different things, but they complement each other. So this job, it's not even a job. Again, I keep saying job, but this business, right, is really, you are an entrepreneur. You are a small business. And if you lack the drive and the aggressiveness and the self-push, that is going to be a huge challenge and a huge hurdle. Second thing is the tenacity. You're going to get kicked in the shin a lot. You're going to get kicked in the face a lot. Yeah. You're going to get knocked down. People are going to tell you no. They're going to tell you you suck. And I went with X, Y, and Z because this person's better, or I like, the outfit that they wore better, whatever it is. Okay.
Yeah. There's some strange things out there.
There are. Yeah.
Right.
And you have to become thick-skinned. I mean, you really do. You can't, you can't take that personally, because at the end of the day, it is just business. It is business. I know it's a very emotional process, buying or selling. People get emotional about it, and it becomes seemingly personal, which it can. But at the end of the day, a lot of clients, it's just business for them. And you have to just learn how to move on and roll with the punches and that sort of thing. So I would say those are the three.
Yeah. Did you ever find yourself kind of overstepping that boundary of the business, like wanting to be friends with somebody, and then you go, oh, what am I doing?
Yes. Sometimes, because the lines get blurred sometimes, right? You get comfortable, or you've been working with a client for quite a long time, and you're like, oh, they're my friend. And I mean, I'm not saying they can't be. I have plenty of past clients who we become friends afterwards, right? Mm-hmm. After the transaction is done, the lines aren't blurred as much. But in the middle of the transaction, it does tend to, it blurs the lines during the middle of the transaction, and then it could get uncomfortable. is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's good. I mean, because I've seen so many people just overstep that boundary, and even just not in our world, but other businesses and industries too. And it's just like, no, this is a business. Like you said, it's a business. It's running a business. And so there has to be that separation there, True. Because are you really getting the best service if you're not treating it like that?
No, I don't think so.
So yeah, because everybody comes to you as a professional. You're the professional.
Correct.
But have you done deals for friends? Some people won't even mix friends.
Yes, I would. That's a good question. I have done deals for friends and family, and I'm not going to say anything specific and rock the boat any further, but I would say those are some of the most difficult deals. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So somebody that's coming in the business would say, hey, I have a long line of friends and family that I can call out.
Yes.
Would you say no or say yes?
I
but
would
then
say
caution?
Yes, but a lot of caution and tread carefully, because again, there's that extra layer in there of emotion, right? And you're bringing that into a business transaction. And so it is an emotional process, buying or selling a home, because it's very stressful, right? And that can then be misplaced on you as the agent, right? Mm-hmm. And then if that emotion is misplaced on you as the agent, then that could be the start or cause a lot of misunderstanding, animosity, things like that. Mm-hmm. So again, I would just be very careful.
Yeah. You mentioned thick skin. So do you have an example of something that happened to you where you had to go, that's why I have to have the thick skin?
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything off the top of my head. I think just generally I don't bat 1,000, I know it's maybe a surprise to hear that. I don't. Yeah. There are plenty of times, even recently, that I can think of that I didn't win the listing. And I always ask, could I ask the deciding factor? Because I always like to improve.
I love that, yeah.
And I don't use it, and I know some seasoned agents may disagree with me on this. I don't use it as a turning point to try to change their mind. I genuinely don't. I just want to know.
Yeah.
And then it gives me two reasons. One, it gives me feedback, hopefully genuine feedback. And two, it tells me a little bit more information of, was this a true at bat? Or was this something that the person just had some other reason that I had no control over? And so it wasn't really a full opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. It gets me a little bit more information. So one of the ones that I lost recently, again, real talk, I didn't even visit the house. Okay. I didn't even give the person a price. And then all of a sudden, to my surprise, the next day, the seller said, oh, we've decided to go with this other person. And I asked the question, okay? And they said, honestly, it was a tough choice. It kind of, no offense, gave me a BS answer. It was a tough choice, but I think you both would have been good, blah, blah, blah. Okay?
Right.
Nothing really that I could glom onto.
Right.
And I figured I didn't even give you a price. I had never even saw the house. Something just doesn't seem right.
Right.
Okay. So I waited until they went into the private listing network. So they did. And I saw the agent, right? There was no price.
No price?
No price in the private listing. I reached out to the agent and I asked her, what's the price? She didn't know. She said, oh, it's TBD. Okay.
TBD?
Yeah.
Does that happen often?
No.
Okay, I was going to say.
And then I realized that they went with that agent because they had used that agent previously. So my suspicion and my guess is that I was just called in for a second opinion. And then when I wouldn't give it freely, because I don't give stuff freely, I have a process and I follow that process, right?
Right.
And I don't just give you a price without seeing the product. That doesn't make any sense, right?
Correct.
And when they realized that, then they were just like, oh, this is what I'm suspecting.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh, okay, well, never mind then.
Yeah.
I'll just go with this person.
Yeah.
So that's an example of, okay, I just got my time wasted, but that's okay.
Once again, going back to the real estate industry isn't for the faint.
It really isn't. It really isn't.
And I think one of the things that you just mentioned, which I think would be tough for anybody coming into the business, is can you ask the hard questions?
Yes, exactly.
Because you're probably not gonna get the answer you want to hear.
No.
And a lot of it's right in your face of, I didn't like this about you, or
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
Okay.
And that, yeah. And you have to be okay with it. Otherwise you're not going to learn of how to adapt to the next time. You know, my brother he was my owner of our company for 30 years and I was working with over 20. He would say, okay, after a mistake or after something happened that you weren't expecting, how do you not let that happen again? So
Exactly.
You have to like address it, face the roaring lion, and then deal with it and adapt. If you can't change, like you've mentioned, if you can't adapt to the environment, then you're probably not going to be here.
You're not going to make it. Yeah.
So let's move into maybe like an agent that has gotten their license, or maybe going into getting their license. What would you tell somebody that's like, what's the first thing that you would say to that person?
So the first thing that I would say to that person is they have to get very serious. If they want to make this their career, okay, and not just kind of a hobby, right? They have to get very serious about what they're willing to do to make it work, okay? And by that I mean they need to block out their calendar, okay? They need to make an actual plan of what activities they're going to do every single week, day in and day out, okay? And then they need to time block it into their calendar. So, and I'm talking about active prospecting activities. I'm not talking about, okay, I'm going to sit, well, floor time doesn't exist anymore, but I'm going to sit in an open house because that's passive, okay? Or I'm going to go to networking opportunities, which is great, don't get me wrong, but that's not a guarantee that you're going to get business, okay? You're just networking, okay? That's for future business, in my opinion, okay?
Okay.
And then I'm just going to sit and wait for people to call. Again, passive, right? You don't know if they're going to call. Just like I didn't know my first Memorial Day weekend, right?
Right.
So active, by active, I mean physically going out and getting the business, okay? So how do you go about doing that when you're a brand new agent? Well, what's the one thing that you have when you're brand new that seasoned agents don't have?
That's a great question. What would that be?
Time.
Time. Yes. You have time.
You have time. That's all you have. That's your one commodity, right? Okay. So what do you do with that time? You shouldn't be sitting around hoping that it just falls in your lap. That doesn't work that way, you know? So what you should be doing with your time is twofold. One, like I said, proactive prospecting. So go out there, really if you live in a community, get to know your community, right? Go door knock, right? Plan a garage sale. Summer is coming up, right? Go door knock, door to door, get to know your area, meet people, etc. Get the word out that you are an agent, okay? And when you go door knock, don't just, give them your business card or have something of value prepared. Okay, what have been the statistics in the neighborhood in the last 6 months? What are things selling for? Did your neighbor's house, is it under contract right now? Whatever it is that they need to know about that community, have it at your disposal as you're going door to door. Introduce yourself. Hey, I'm Alice. I'm Sally. I just got into the business. Or don't even say that maybe. Just say, hey, I wanted to let you know the statistics in the neighborhood. If you or anyone you know is looking to buy or sell, here are the statistics, right? Have you ever been curious about what the real estate market is doing? Get into a conversation with them.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two is I would still go after, if I had nothing else and I needed to pay my bills, okay, that's what I would do first. Second thing I would do is I would call for sale by owners and I would call cancel expireds.
Okay.
There's not as many cancel expireds now because it's a seller's market still in the suburbs, okay?
Right.
But there are, for sale by owners are starting to creep up a little bit. I just had one this weekend that I called.
So you still do that?
I still do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little different now.
Okay.
I'm not doing it to get the listing necessarily. I'm genuinely doing it because I need inventory to sell to my buyers.
Right.
Yeah. So
right.
I'm just at a different angle. Yeah.
Yep.
So, so that's what I would do. Active prospecting, block out your time, block out your calendar, and really just be kind of intentional about your time, not just like flapping in the wind.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, what I would do is I would fill it with open houses, of other agents' listings. And then I would ask, if you're not on a team, that's okay. If you're just solo in an office, I would seek out probably the top 5 or 3 agents in your office, in your company, whatever you want to do. It could be in a different office within the same brokerage. And I would ask them, hey, can I shadow you?
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah. Do you
That's
have
really
a
good.
listing appointment coming up that you would feel comfortable with me just being a quiet shadow? I just want to observe. I just want to learn. There's no other way that a new agent is going to learn, right? Even at a showing, can I shadow? Do you have a buyer tour coming up this week? Could I shadow you? More important question, actually, could I see how you prepare for that buyer tour?
Oh, that's good.
Could I see how you prepare for that listing appointment? Let me know when I need to be somewhere and where I need to be in order for me to gain that education.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. Yeah. And I would fill in, I would write down kind of maybe the top 10 things I wanted to learn right away, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would just seek out more experienced agents.
Yeah. So putting a plan. So as you're sitting there thinking, you don't just go out like you mentioned. You mentioned the word flounder.
Yeah.
Right? We don't want to be
in the wind.
Yeah, we don't want to be a fish out of water because that's what's going to happen. And
Yeah.
that's I think what a lot of agents and loan officers together, they just go out and they just start
think like
running different directions and not knowing what to do. But the very start of that begins with putting a plan together. So when you put a plan together, what does that look like? Do you start at the end of the year and back it up from there?
So you should ideally start in September of the prior year. But again, we're in May, so I totally get it. So if it was me again and I was starting all over Memorial Day, right? You still have the back half of this year. Mm-hmm. You still have six months, okay? So I would put together as fast as I could a thought out plan for the second half of this year. What you're going to do every day, every week, every 2 weeks, every month, kind of the frequency and then the tasks, right? Along with that. And then I would also come up with, okay, at the end of the 6 months, what do I want to have accomplished? Like an end goal. Mm-hmm. It could be a number of units. It could be income, gross income, right? It could be net income after your expenses. It could be a lot of these things, right? It could be even as simple as, well, I want to go on X number of listing appointments and X number of buyer appointments.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
And so then write that all down, and that is your business plan, right? And then back it into how am I going to get there? In order to have this many units and this many units, buyers and sellers, right? My conversion rate, if I'm a new agent, is probably not super high, right? I'd probably need to go on a ton of appointments in order to just get one, right? So I would back into the numbers. So I need then 4 appointments. Let's just say 4. Let's say your conversion rate is like 25%.
Right.
Which is pretty low, but then you need 4 to get one closed, right? Okay. Right. So then that means if you want to get one closed a month, which is very ambitious for a new agent, so that's 6 units for the rest of the 6 months, right? That means you need to go minimum on 24 appointments.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then how do you get to 24 appointments? Because you're not going to get, every person that you talk to is not going to just say, hey, here's an appointment. Right? So let's just say you just kind of err on the side of conservative. And you just say, okay, maybe 5 people that I talk to, right, will give me an appointment, right? That means you have to talk to 100 people. Which sounds like a lot, but it's not really actually. 100 people? Mm-hmm. Like I talk to 100 people every few days.
Wow, that's a lot. So if somebody, you said door knocking, networking,
yep,
open houses, shadowing. Those are great ways. Like when the market shifted a little bit with regards to calling people, mm-hmm. what you can't call just cold call anymore.
Call, yeah, not as much.
That used to be the case, but did you used to do that back in the day? By the way,
I did, yeah,
okay.
All the time, every day.
Wow.
Monday through Friday, yeah.
Yeah, some people just get on the phone and just boom,
spam it out,
you know. So, what was like on a daily ritual? What would be a number of calls that you'd want to make?
Probably, I think it was 30. I had to hit a minimum of 30. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Wow. And then did you do the shadowing for?
I did. Yeah. Okay. I kind of stumbled upon it though. I don't want people thinking that like, oh, Alice had this like all planned. I didn't. I stumbled upon it because there were very nice seasoned agents in my office that kind of just took me under their wing and was like, hey, Alice, like I was the young, bright-eyed agent. Hey, you want to come with me on this? Yeah. And I was like, sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it was by luck. I didn't intentionally plan it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And did you sit in at other people's open houses?
I did. Yeah.
Because I was listening to Josh Altman saying this. He goes, that was the sweet sound of success for him. He's like, I just asked the top agent in the company, you got 50 listings. I know you're going to be sitting on all these listings.
Yeah.
What can I sit in? And he goes, I don't even want to go in this house anymore. You can go to that one.
You go to this one.
Yeah, you go to this one. And he took it up, and next thing you know, he got deals from it. And I think that is a huge, huge piece of wisdom and advice from anybody that is in the industry.
Yeah. So one of my open houses was an open house, but it wasn't. It was for a new construction building, condo building in downtown Naperville. And oh my goodness, it was so boring. So I was there. It was more than an open house. It was like builder hours, right? From like 12 or 11 to like 6. And I sat there. I just sat there. Yeah, it was so boring. And, people came in and I did the tour and I showed them everything. I tell you what, by the end, I knew that whole building and every single unit, because there were only, 16 units in the building.
Yeah.
I knew everything forwards and backwards, right?
Oh, that's good.
However, at the end of it, I did sell one of the units, which was very nice as a new agent. Yeah, because even at the time, it was before the crash, before prices plummeted.
Yeah.
I think it was probably my first dozen sales. And it was 800 some thousand, which for a brand new spanking agent, I know.
That's a big one.
So it made the hours sitting there worth it, watching paint dry.
Well, if you think about it, if you do the math on the hours that you spent there and the commission that you get off of something like that, it makes it well worth it.
Well worth it, yeah.
And I also had a manager tell me too. He's like, think about how many calls you make, and if you do the math on the amount of time that you spend calling and the commissions you make on those, it's a great hourly rate.
It really
if you think
is.
about it, you know. Not to say that happens all the time, but it's like you said, you got to be hungry. You have to put a plan together, and don't be afraid and be proactive. I think one of the things I heard my brother say, when you're a brand new agent, brand new loan officer getting in the business, the first thing you want to do is rush to profitability. And that's the goal there.
That's the goal.
You can't just sit and wait, like you said.
No, you can't. Yeah.
Let's look at an agent that's been here for 1 year. We talked about this. What's your thought on that? And let's say the business isn't going anywhere, and they're getting a little burned out because it's just they're frustrated. What would you say to them?
So let me just clarify. So they have no business or very little business, or like where are they?
I think there was a pretty big stat last year that there were so many agents that didn't even sell a home.
One transaction?
Yeah.
Is that, okay.
Like I would say, maybe. I mean, maybe take that from like one transaction, just not getting any wheels turning, to the point of maybe they were slower than other people.
Yeah. So I would say for that individual or that agent, again, kind of a similar question to themselves is like, do they still want to do this? Do they still have that desire, right? That's most important. If they say yes, deep down, I still want to do this, I just don't know. I want to give up because it's been a year and nothing's happening. That's different than I really just don't want to do this anymore, right? So if they still have the desire and they still want to do it, then I think they should ask themselves, if they think that maybe it would be better to either get a mentor or join a team, or kind of put them back on the right path. Because again, as a solo agent, if you don't really know what you're doing wrong, right, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
And the issue with the first suggestion, like getting a mentor or a coach, a lot of them cost money. It's a lot of money. That's also a business, right?
Right.
And so most coaches and mentoring companies and mentors are not free. So unfortunately, their only option, one of their best options, is probably to join a team or look into joining a team.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
I like that.
At that point, yeah.
Yeah. As a team lead, though, aren't you protective of somebody that you have to, like you said, slow to hire, quick to fire?
Very slow. Yeah. So yes. So some teams, I can't speak for all teams. Some teams are easier to get on than others. My team, now that we're a team of 7, it is fairly difficult because it's not because it's oh, we're a hard team and we work hard and we don't let anybody in. That's not what I mean.
Sure.
I mean that because we already have 7 personalities.
Yeah.
7 ways of doing things,
Right.
right? And for the most part, it blends pretty well, right? So with every person that approaches us that wants to join the team, it becomes increasingly difficult to make sure that they are the right fit for the 7 of us that are already here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
So that's the main challenge that I have now. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're protecting your culture that you
Correct.
built.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, yeah, that's amazing. I think people think that our industry is just you set your hours however you want. It's not,
And you
as
just kind of
demanding.
like free as a bird. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's great advice that you gave. And I think anybody out there listening to that is going to be huge. One of the things that have changed recently, though, is the NAR and how they presented that. So this industry is constantly evolving. What would you say to agents, like, as they're kind of going through this, navigating the big change that happened? Like, that was a big pivotal moment, and that's why a lot of people are leaving the industry too. So what would your advice be with those people?
I would just say, to be honest and fully transparent, my team and we've also had a fairly difficult time keeping up, making sure that everything is still compliant, because it has been rapid fire changes. I mean, I'm just being fully transparent. So the first thing was when the commissions were removed from the MLS, right? And then on all the websites, right? And then we had to have a signed buyer rep before showing homes to any buyers, right? So that was the first kind of hurdle. And we got used to that. We practiced it even before this year, right? So probably for about 4 months last year, we practiced it, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of got our feet wet, so to speak, before it became like an actual license law. Okay.
Right.
So then the second hurdle was the 8.0 contract locally, right? And that was another change. And so we had to study that, make sure, okay, what are the differences? And even though we're not attorneys, we still need to understand like what our clients are signing, right? So that we could effectively explain it. And then we had to change it in all of our literature, right? And not have any of the old contract in there. Then this is specific to Compass, but we have the 3-phase marketing plan. So we've had that change as well. We're rolling the new form out Thursday.
Okay.
So again, it's just been change after change after change after change. Then the other change that I forgot about just now is the decoupling of the real estate commissions, right? And so our listing agreements have gone through 2 or 3 changes since last August.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So first it left like the co-op commission in there for a little bit. Then it took it off. Then it was like, oh no, we need to add the marketing fee in there. And again, I'm being fully transparent. Then we need to make sure that this language is in there. And then like, what if the buyer insists on not being represented? Then we have to have this in there. And so like with every change, I'm like, we just updated these, and now we have to update them again.
Yeah.
Like just to stay on top of everything. And then I think it was last week or the week before, our compliance department was like, this form isn't right. Make sure it's the most updated. And I'm like, you know what?
Oh my gosh.
It's changed like 5 times, but that's okay, So I would just say my advice is it's hard, but I would just take it piecemeal. Like take the first change, for example, that with the buyer rep, right? Practice, practice, practice. What are you going to say to buyers when you meet with them? Right? What are you going to say so that they feel comfortable working with you, explaining to them why they need to sign it? What is going to be your script?
Yeah.
Right? So otherwise, you're not going to be probably very successful signing buyer rep forms.
Right.
Which is a necessity if you want to work with buyers.
Right.
Okay. So that's number 1. So then once you get that out of the way, then I would practice the changes in the industry script, right? When you meet with potential sellers and get really familiar with your company's listing agreement or whatever version you use, if you use the Main Street one, right? What does it say in there, right? How do you explain it effectively? What has changed since last year to this year or even in the last couple of months, right? And again, take it piecemeal. That's what I would do.
Yeah. I think the one thing that people forget is that you're not alone, that this affects everybody.
Everyone
it's
in the
not
industry.
like this is something that affects Alice
Only.
in particular. Yeah, only.
Yeah.
It's a blanketed whole industry wide. Everybody has to do it. And I think that should be the comfort level. We had that happen when it was called the loan officer compensation change.
Oh,
you know, back in like 2008, perfect time once again.
Oh, yeah.
They always do it like the perfect time.
And you're like, why?
It's like the
Why
toughest
now?
market.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah. So like we just had to go, we had to interpret, like we're trying to interpret laws. And so the same thing with the real estate side right now is that you just let the dust out. I think you did something brilliant. You started adapting to it ahead
Early,
of time.
super early. Yeah.
So you can kind of give yourself a little bit of grace because once those laws come into place, there's no grace and there's fines.
There's fines and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was surprised even at the very end, I think it was the very end of last year, December. So right at like before it became like license law to sign a buyer rep form, I was discovering and hearing through the grapevine that there were certain agents who were still not signing buyer rep forms and just going out and showing properties. And I was like, it's changing in like 3 days.
Right.
Yeah. I was shocked.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Like if you can't, it's coming, you might as well practice.
Yeah.
Practice prevents poor performance, right?
Exactly.
So like, how are you going to explain to buyers? Like, for instance, what is a buyer's, like for anybody that's hearing this for the first time, maybe they're not even an agent. What is a buyer's rep agreement?
Oh, yes. Let's back up. So a buyer's rep agreement explains very clearly that you represent them, okay, in purchasing a home. And it has a term of the agreement. So it could be a month, 6 months, whatever, a year. And then it stipulates you're their agent, what areas you're going to be covering for them, okay? And then it can talk about a cancellation fee, or cancellation clause. It also talks about the agent's fee, whatever that is, okay? And then it talks about, I'm trying to think what else it talks about. Cancellation. I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Those are like the basic nuts and bolts.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things I remember last year that all agents were like freaking out about.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how am I going to get somebody, like a buyer that's coming through the system? Are they going to want to put their down payment down plus closing costs?
Closing costs, yeah.
Plus pay the commission of the real estate agent. And that was everybody's concern from the buyer side. And what's happened? Has it been kind of a lot of...
It's pretty much, a lot of noise. It's been mostly business as usual for us, Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what happened with us when it came to the loan officer compensation. It was like, just let the system kind of ride out. Give it like 6 months. It's going to kind of get back into the norm.
Yes.
And that's kind of what happened.
And that's kind of what happened, So, I mean, it started it effectively not officially started until January. But like I said, we started practicing in August. So in a few months, we'll have been practicing for a year.
Yeah.
Which is
it's amazing.
I know, it's amazing.
It seemed like it would just start
flew
yesterday.
by. I know.
Yeah. Well, I love the breakdown. I think the number one thing is just setting a plan. I love how you block out time. Some people get it, some people don't get that. But that's a big deal. Like if you start with a plan, start with something simple, put a goal out there, and then reverse engineer it from there. That's a big deal for anybody that's getting in the industry. I wish I would have known that when I started. It took me a few years to kind of get accustomed to doing it. I'm still learning today after 26 years in the business.
I would say I'm still learning too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I fully admit. But I'm a huge checklist person too.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I make a checklist to this day. I'll make a checklist of these are the things that I need to accomplish. And then I split it into 2 different sections. And I don't know if most people, my team knows this, but I don't know if most other people know this.
Okay.
So I split it into 2 sections. The top section is I have to do this today.
Okay.
If I die today, these things must get done. Okay. The second half is just like, it will be nice, but it's not urgent. They're important, but they're maybe not urgent.
Right.
Okay. So I split it purposely into those 2. Then the top section, I find a spot in my calendar for the top section and I block it out.
Okay.
So that it exists in my calendar. It's going to get done. I have time set aside for it. And unless somebody is literally dying, okay, I'm not going to let it interfere with my time block. So that's how I plan every single day.
I love that. I'm gonna try doing that.
Do that, yeah.
Just split up into
split it
2.
up to 2 because if you just make one giant list, it's gonna be like
it's never ending, right?
Yeah, where do I begin? Where does it end? Like, make it a priority, top and bottom. Yeah, simple.
Cool. Well, thank you again. This is episode
Thank you,
2.
yeah.
And do you want to wrap it?
Yes, thanks again for tuning in on episode 2, and we'll see you on 3.